Impressions of A-Day after you had a chance to kind of see that?
Well, I think the obvious first thing is, how about the fans? 84,000 was incredible. It was about halfway, we got there, and right when it started, I guess the whole lower level was full, and that was the last thing I remember until midway through the third quarter. I happened to look up for the first time and thought, geez, the whole place is full. So, seeing the upper decks full and all that was awesome. I think it was great for our team to see how much our fans support our players. That really, that gives them a boost. That gives them a boost of confidence. Hey, we got guys that got our back. They still believe in us, and so that was the number one thing that everybody, from the coaches to players, everybody was and still is talking about, and rightfully so. As far as the game goes, you take out the sloppiness with the turnovers. We had, I know there was a ball Jonathan forced that he wishes he had back. We had early on the first series with the blue team, our center snapped the ball before we were ready, and those things kill you. And then we had two other times where two of our running backs just put the ball on the ground, and so you got to clean up turnovers. They'll get you beat every time. And then I thought towards probably the last three series, the last two series I think for the white team, the last series for the blue in the second quarter, is when we finally got a little continuity going, we got a little rhythm, and our guys started to notice the advantage of pace. And that's what we were telling them. Hey, we're in the second quarter now. Our advantage just started to roll a little bit in the second, third, and fourth quarter. And we had two long drives with the white group really running the football, imposing our will a little bit. That was positive. The blue group had a nice drive and went down and scored. So that was good that we finished the half well. But just still, and it's a work in progress as far as being consistent. We'll execute a play really, really well, and then it's hard to string 3 and 4 and 5 together sometimes. That's where we've got to get really, between now and the fall, we've got to get to the point where we're executing at a high level more consistently. But the number one thing that we told our players that we were proud of is, I think our white group came out and went 3 and out. First play, we snapped in the end zone with the blue group. Okay, then I think our white group came out and didn't do much, maybe got 1 first down. So it started off about as bad as it could start offensively. And the number one thing we told them before the scrimmage, we wanted to respond. We want to see how you react to adversity, bad situations. That was bad, but if you're playing a game, there's still 3.5 quarters left, and I thought they did respond. They kept playing hard, ended up scoring 6 offensive touchdowns in a half. And so, while it was very hit and miss, up and down, that was the number one thing that I thought as our guys learned how to kind of push through some adverse situations.
Did either quarterback grade out better than the other?
If you just look at it, they both did some good things. I'd say I think Jonathan had more touchdown drives, so to speak, but some of that was opportunity. I think he happened to be the quarterback that was in. I rotated him evenly with the white, with the blue every 2. They were rotating, so they ended up getting, I think, almost 12 series each, about 6 with each group. Jonathan happened to be in right after one of the turnovers. We get the ball in 15 and we throw a touchdown pass. So some things like that factor in. I thought Kyle led a nice drive down there. Ended up throwing a touchdown to Trevon, and then another one of those drives for half Kyle led, we ended up scoring on the read zone deal. So they both did good and bad, and it's just a matter of continuing to get better with our consistency throwing the football. That's the number one thing. I think they have a really good grasp of what we're trying to do, but it's now being able to play fast, knowing what to do. It's one thing to know it on the board and walkthroughs and practice. Now when the bullets are flying, operating fast, making good decisions, and being accurate. But there's not a lot of just separation coming out of spring, at this point. They both have things they do well, and they can help us win. And these aren't the kind of things we're going to rush. We have in the past. We're not going to. It's good to continue on and just keep those guys pushing each other.
When you put together your post-spring depth chart, which I know is a goal, do you anticipate having them on the same line, the one line, or is there going to be one or the other?
Yeah, right now it's kind of an either-or deal. And that's kind of how I rotated them all spring, even through A-Day and every other scrimmage. I think the first scrimmage, I think they guessed my birthday, and the one that was closest started, And so I think that was, I believe it was Kyle, and then, Jonathan started the second one, so that's why Kyle started there. We just rotated, and that was the way it was in practice. There was no rhyme or reason. They got equal reps throughout all spring. They both stayed healthy. Their arms are in good shape. So the positive is they've gotten a lot of reps, and they got so much better from day one till now. But there's still a long way to go, and they know that. And so the key is for them on their own. How bad do they want it from now until August? Because we don't get to work with them. How much work are they willing to put in to take that next jump before we get back together?
On Friday, you talked about dealing with the ups and downs, which is scrimmage, is kind of that simulation. Jonathan's first snap is a turnover.
Yeah.
What did you see out of him? And also Kyle's, I think, was a 3 and out.
Yeah,
So
that's
for
what
both.
I alluded to at the beginning. Kyle, they go 3 and out, okay, so we don't do anything. And then, it wasn't Jonathan's fault. We never even gotten in the cadence. So the defense was barking and just the ball got snapped. And that can't happen. But nevertheless, you're the quarterback. You're the one in there. And so that was what I was most proud of. Did we execute flawlessly? No way. Could we have been much better? You bet. And that's what our goal is, and that's what their goal is. But both quarterbacks and as a whole, our offense, I felt like when things were bad early, what's the natural tendency to do, especially with the most recent history? So, okay, here we go again, and quit. And not one guy quit to a man, not even one of those quarterbacks quit. They pressed on, they found a way to lead some drives, go score some points, get some first downs, and battled. And that's the first step. The X's and O's, the quality execution every time will come. That's why we practice. That's part of the process. But that's the thing I was the most proud of, was the intangible part of it. We pushed through those adverse situations. It started bad in front of 80,000 people. It's real easy to kind of tank it, and they didn't.
There was one sequence there in the first quarter with Jonathan that had to be particularly frustrating for you when you look back at it. And 3rd and 6, take a delay of game. I know it's a spring game and it's tough, but 3rd and 6, you take a delay of game, and then 3rd and 11, he throws that pick. Yeah. When you went back to, first, what were you thinking when you saw it live? And second, when you got back to look at it again, what were you thinking of those 2 plays?
Well, there's 2 things that go that. The delay game was on me, and there's just no doubt about that. I'm going to take that one. It wasn't on them. We got in a situation where we were calling play. The defense was checking with us. I got in a check match. You can't do that. And I ran out of time. So that's on me. That's not on anybody but me. So I put our team in a disadvantage, and we tell her, hey, we're always going to point out what they need to get better and what they do wrong, and hold them accountable, hold myself accountable. That was on me. But then we do put ourselves in a 3rd and 11, and that is what it is. We got to execute. And I'm not going to tell you what I thought would happen. I wasn't real happy, But and looking back, it was bad. It was the wrong read. He knew where to go with the football. He looked where to go and didn't do it, and then just flashed and made a careless error with the football. And that's the things that, when you look at 115 snaps between the quarterbacks, they had 1 turnover. That's not bad when you really think about it. At the same time, those are the ones we can't have. Sometimes they're going to make a great play, or we're going to, get a ball tipped, or not. But when it's just careless like that, we can't do that. That'll get us beat, and they know that, and so that's just what we got to keep working through.
How do you expect your quarterbacks to react going forward, knowing that there's not a starter that's been named after the spring?
Well, I expect both of them to attack it. I expect both of them to think that, hey, competition's still on, it's a challenge, and I hope that makes them work even harder. I mean, yeah, sure, people would want to know what's going on, this or that. I know y'all want to know, they want to know, but that's just not where we're at right now. That's not what we need to be doing. It's good for those guys to keep pushing each other, and the thing I've been real proud about, they root for each other in practice, and so they're good friends, they're close, but competition makes everybody better. Everybody, not only them, it's going to make the whole team better. And we got still a lot of competition going on everywhere. And hey, even when you do, once we get out of spring, you set it 2 deep. It's a preliminary 2 deep. You go into August, that thing can change in a heartbeat too. But I expect them to continue to attack the challenge and try to get better and win the job.
Rhett, what you guys see from the offense this morning when you went live with the defense?
You know what? They bounced around good. I mean, a lot of times after a spring game, most people were done. And so coming out there early, I thought we got something out of it. We tried to we didn't put anything new in. It was a cleanup day all the way. I thought we fixed some errors that we made in the scrimmage. I thought they were attentive and paying attention to those details. And, it's still fairly physical. It was the last time really banging with the defense, and I thought they did some good things. I mean, without looking at the film, of course.
What about the improvement of the wide receivers from day 1 to kind of the end of spring? What did you see out of those guys?
I thought they got much better. Night and day, I mean, you look at, and they're not there yet. They got a long way to go. We got a long way to go, and that's not coach speak, that's the truth. But, you look at Sammy Coates, made some plays the other day, took some shots. If he'll just keep coming, he's got a chance. You hesitate to say anything because you want him to keep working. We anticipate that group elevating their level. But he did some nice things. You see that Ricardo, just the more reps he gets and the more, used to just our tempo and the conditioning of that, I think the better he'll be. But getting him the ball and getting him touches is a thing that you'd like to do. Jalen was solid. Fans didn't see it, but he made probably the catch of the spring in the second scrimmage for a touchdown. I know he didn't have one in the A-Day game, but he was solid and steady for us. Quan Bray, Trevon Reed. We got a bunch of guys that are all just kind of there right now, and they're getting better, and they're just kind of in a pack. And just like much like the quarterback's got a big jump to make on their own this summer, those guys got to now take it to the next level. And somebody, 1, 2, 3 of those guys got to step up and decide they want to be elite SEC receivers. They've got the talent. They're heading in the right direction. I think we gained some confidence. We're not there yet. We got to get some guys who raise their level even much more than they think they can. And that's what's our job is. That's what coaching is taking players to a place they can't reach on their own. And so that's what we're going to try to do.
What'd you see out of Trey?
It was good to get him back out there. You can tell he probably wasn't 100%, but I mean, it's nothing major. And to get him some carries was good. He held on to the ball, which was what I was most worried about since he had been kind of out of action for a little bit of time. He held on the ball. He had a really nice run for the touchdown. It was a 4-yard run, but I mean, we had an unblocked defender, and he cut the inside shoulder and got in the end zone. A couple third down runs that were nice. So I thought he did a solid job for the amount of time he's missed. He's got to get better in all the other areas, playing without the football. Everybody knows what he can do when he runs it. You know, protection, all those other things. And to his credit, he's been listening to everything Coach Horton's told him all spring, whether he's in or out. He's had a really good attitude, so he just needs to stay the course.
After the game, he said one of the things that he can envision with this offense is 3,000-yard backs. That's a pretty lofty goal. Do you envision that possibility with what you've seen out of Cameron and Corey and him, certainly what they can do?
Well, that'd be nice. I mean, who wouldn't want 3,000-yard backs? You know, I think they all, I've said it a bunch, they all bring something different to the table. Cameron, you can see he will go downhill. He finishes well with his pads down. He's probably was the most consistent running back in pass protection all spring, being physical, which was a big thing. And that's a big part of it for what we do and what anybody does in this league. But, you know, you can tell when you get rolling, he can get those pads north and south. And that's a lot of what we do. So that's a component he gives us. Short yardage, goal line, or just in general, running the football downhill. Trey, he's a little more balanced. I mean, he'll run it up in there. He's not really a speed guy, but he's got good speed. You know, he's probably one of the better at the three of making people miss in the open field right now. Can catch the ball well. Got to get a little bit better in other areas, like I said, playing without the ball. And then you got Corey, who we didn't get to see because he wasn't feeling well, but he's our home run guy. I mean, he's probably the fastest of the three. So if he gets a crease, he can maybe take the distance. I don't know who's going to be the guy, and it may be a by committee deal. And if we run for if we have 3 backs run for 1,000 yards, I'd say we're probably going to do some things right. You know, the tempo allows us maybe to get all those guys those carries. I mean, we want fresh backs, so I'm in if that's what he wants to do.
Was Corey back today?
Corey's doing well. Yeah, he's doing better.
That starting offensive line unit that you had for Saturday, I mean, is that moving out of the spring, at the end of the spring now, is that really kind of what you've settled on as the first 5?
No, we rotated those guys too, some guys in there with those 2 groups, and we technically have one more practice tomorrow, so that's when after that we'll sit down as a staff and really say, okay, here's what our post-spring 2 deep is. And like I said, that's just more than what we had before spring. At least now we have a good idea of where, as of right now, it shapes up if we were playing. But throughout the summer and August, a lot of things can happen with young guys coming in and with those guys elevating their game and all that. We've got a pretty good idea, and like I said, I'm sure whenever Coach releases that, but we honestly haven't even sat down as a staff and kind of put that up there yet. That's how we had it going into the game. A lot of it was reps. I mean, if you notice, we had pretty good balance of wideouts on each side, and we were a little thin at running backs, so we started balancing those around. But we had guys rotating, changing jerseys, the whole thing with the O-line.
Rhett, do you use Corey at the 3? Is that something you'll be doing in the fall?
He played all running back this spring.
Okay.
And, much like everything else we do, we're going to try to put those guys in the right position to be successful. So maybe, you get closer to game time and game plan, you might move guys around more than we did in the spring. We tried to keep guys, for the most part, I think Jalen Denson's the only one who maybe played 2 different spots at some time throughout the spring. We tried to keep them in one spot so they could learn the system. Not only learn what that position does, within the first day or 2, if we thought they were in the wrong spot, we might have moved them. But learn what their position does, but just learn the overall concept of the offense. Now, once they grasp that, it's easier to move them around. So, we're very specific on what we do with our guys, and so we're going to always try to put the guys in position to do what they're good at. So that's a possibility.
Rick, clearly the first team unit, however we want to refer to them, orange, white, whatever,
Yeah.
the first team unit
Yeah.
on A-Day. They, not only on the scoreboard, we're just clearly just better, more competitive. How important is it when you look at it to see not only competitive depth at one or two positions, but across the board, when there seems to be a little, certainly on A day, there was quite a bit of a stark comparison there.
Yeah, well, that's why you split them up and you make sure that blue group or that other group gets just as many reps. You know, everybody's the same. I mean, whoever ends up starting should have a little bit, whether it be by experience, they're older guys and played more games, or ability, they should be a little better than the second group. That's why you got ones and you got twos eventually. But you know, it was good to see the white group, so to speak, do some things well, but at the same time, I thought the other group got the best of them at times. I mean, we had two really good drives with our blue group, and that was positive. We didn't run the ball as well with them maybe as we did with the other group, and I'm not concerned right now with the disparity between the two, if that's what you're asking. I think we were more concerned with anything with getting as many reps as we possibly can. One, to get them better, and two, so we can have more things to evaluate. And you know, those other guys will come along.
How do you think the offensive line came on this spring?
I thought they got a lot better. We didn't run the ball that well at the beginning. You know, in the second and third scrimmage, we were able to run the football better. We're more physical. We're still working on getting downhill more with certain tracks and things we do. But J.B. Grimes, he's an incredible teacher. He understands what we do offensively because he was with us last year, so that was a big plus. Having an offensive line coach that's already on the same page with you. And then just fundamentally, you can start to see all the little things that'll get even much better in the fall. That's going to be, you know, we like to run the football. That's Auburn football. That's our philosophy. That's what you got to do in the SEC. So that's going to be a big part of us being successful. And I thought they made strides in that area.
Are you satisfied folks are probably in the right position up front right now, or still have time to experiment?
I think we've got a lot of good information with where we kind of put people and moved them around. You know, you've got guys that you end up plugging later that, you know, I've said it before, but there's in the NFL they got 8 linemen. They got guys that play all 3 inside positions, and guys that play guards and tackles. And you got to always, I mean, one guy goes down, 3 people can move positions. It was that way in the national championship year for us. I mean, if one line guy went down, we were moving 3 people. And so there's another reason you move people around. I think we got them in the right spot right now. You got a guy like Avery who's good to go now. You never know when he's back how that, you know, how he plugs in and how that might change things, because you want to get your best 5 or 6 guys out there at all times. But I do think we've got them repping for the most part in a good spot right now.
Let's get a status update on Dimitri Reese, because that was a pretty wicked
Yeah, he's
game.
okay. You know, that was one of those unfortunate deals. Football, tough kid. I mean, he was obviously dazed at the time, but no major issues. He should be fine.